Living a spiritual life is not the same as spiritual training. One calls for the purification of self and alignment with the universal force, and the other calls for further action. One must live a spiritual life to see the best benefit from spiritual training. To do otherwise is akin to going to the gym for half an hour and immediately eating an entire pizza. It may increase strength, but it does nothing for overall transformation of self. While the way of the spirit warrior is a spiritual path, it is also a warrior way. As the guardians of the new era, we must not allow ourselves to be caught lacking in our spiritual training. There may come a time when we are faced with a physical danger, but there is no doubt that we will face tests of our spiritual task in the times to come. We must first focus on refining our personal shield, a dense layer of the aura rooted in the dynamic expression of the universal force. While our personal shield is rooted to our most internal sense of self-protection, we must be able to extend in to those under our protection. Similarly, we must be able to push back against the waves of fear and oppression that is our calling to defeat. This is also rooted in the dynamic expression of the universal force, but must not be limited to a layer of the aura. This must extend outward, sometimes as a pushing wave, other times as a volley of flaming arrows against the dark. While there are many techniques to achieve these primary skills, we must realize that both of these skill groups are tied to something commonly referred to as spiritual pressure. Have you ever walked by someone and felt a deep sense of purpose, destiny, or flow? Perhaps you have met someone whose mere presence fills a room either with a sense of calm or of danger. These people have spiritual pressure. We gain physical strength by pushing and pulling against resistance. Spiritual training is no different, although its expression may seem different. Building spiritual pressure can be done in a few different ways. There are Taoist cultivation techniques that focus on condensing the internal energies of the universal force in one of the 3 energy pools of the body. Each of these pools represent different aspects of the self: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. There are similar Qigong techniques for increasing the flow of our internal energies, creating a swifter, strong expression of the aura, as well as keeping the body healthier. Their goal is threefold: strengthen the health, clear the mind, and cleanse our energies. There are more radical modern techniques that tie spiritual training with intense physical expression, typically martial arts training. This aims at keeping the universal force both flowing and dense, like an explosive geyser rather than a flowing stream. This is done by forcing the flow of energy through the body when not relaxed. This is a bit more controversial, as it can lead to blockages if not properly cleansed and grounded at the end of each training session. While some of these practices are very formally structured, their essences become intuitive with a little practice. These 3 are also mere examples, as spiritual training has untold numbers of expressions. There is one thing that must be remembered. We are spirit warriors. We must not neglect one aspect for another. Of course, each of us will align more with one aspect of this type of training over others, but that is not an excuse to neglect the other practices. If anything, it should act as a sign where focus is most needed. Be mindful, though, that these practices do not purify the spirit. That is the purpose of a spiritual path. This is just the training to amplify what we already are. Spiritual pressure doesn't belong solely to the spirit warriors. It belongs to anyone who has taken control over the density of the energy around them, for good or bad. The training never ends, and at times it will be very difficult. But we must never forget our calling. We are the shield wall, standing between the profane and the ascended. Like and share this video if the words ring true in your soul, and subscribe to the channel to continue on the way of the spirit warrior. Trust the flow of the universal force, and it will never lead you astray.